Rain hammered the metal roof of Han Ta's workshop. Thunder boomed across the night sky. Han wiped his greasy hands on an old rag and looked out the window. The storm was getting worse. Han liked storms. They kept people away. And Han liked being alone. The small workshop sat at the edge of Sewell Spaceport, far enough from the main buildings that few people ever came by. That was just how Han wanted it. After what happened on the Starfleet carrier 3 years ago, he preferred machines to people. Machines didn't blame you for accidents. Machines didn't whisper when you walked by. Han turned back to the engine he was fixing. It was an old hoverbike model, nothing fancy, but it would pay for food this week. As he reached for his wrench, a loud crash came from outside. "Great," Han muttered. "Probably a broken tree branch." He ignored it and kept working. Then he heard something else, a whimper, then a scraping sound, like metal dragging across gravel. Han froze. He grabbed the heavy wrench and moved slowly to the door. The security screen showed nothing in front of the workshop. He was about to turn away when another whimper came from the side of the building. Han unlocked the door and stepped into the rain. Water soaked through his thin shirt as he edged around the corner. Lightning flashed, and Han saw it. A large animal lay in the mud. But not any animal Han had ever seen on Earth. It was like a wolf, but bigger, much bigger. Its fur was silver blue and seemed to glow slightly in the dark. Most strange of all was its back leg. It wasn't made of flesh, but of metal and glowing blue parts. The leg sparked and twitched. Han stepped back. This was an alien. And not just any alien. The silver-blue fur meant this was a Canir, the wolf-like species that had made contact with Earth just 5 years ago. They were advanced, powerful, and not entirely friendly. The creature's eyes opened. They were deep amber with vertical pupils. Those eyes locked onto Han, and the animal tried to stand. The metal leg sparked again, and the creature fell back with a yelp of pain. Han should call the authorities. That was the rule with any alien encounter. But something made him hesitate. The creature was clearly hurt. And something about those eyes. A collar around the Canir's neck caught the light. Han saw strange symbols etched into a metal tag. He didn't understand them. But they looked official, important. The Canir watched Han without moving. Rain poured down on both of them. "I must be crazy," Han whispered. He moved slowly toward the creature. The Canir's fur bristled, but it didn't growl. Up close, Han could see the problem. The metal leg had a broken joint. Some kind of fluid leaked from it, mixing with the rain. The creature was losing blood from a wound on its side, too. "I'm going to help you," Han said, knowing the alien probably couldn't understand. "But if you bite me, we're going to have a problem." Han carefully slid his arms under the large creature. It was heavy, but Han was strong from years of lifting engine parts. The Canir went still as Han lifted it, as if it knew fighting would only hurt more. Inside the workshop, Han cleared off his work table and gently placed the creature on it. In the bright light, he could see more details. This wasn't just any Canir. The markings on its collar and the quality of its cybernetic legs suggested it was someone important. Han grabbed his medical kit. He wasn't a doctor, but he knew enough about patching himself up after workshop accidents. The wound on the side wasn't too deep. The real problem was the leg. Han studied the broken joint. It was technology beyond what humans had, but still, it was a machine. And machines were what Han understood best. The Canir watched Han with those intelligent amber eyes. "Well," Han said, reaching for his tools, "I guess we're both having an interesting night." Outside, the storm raged on, hiding the workshop from prying eyes. Neither Han nor his unusual visitor knew it yet, but this rainy night would change everything, for both of them. Han dabbed the wet cloth against the alien's wound. The Canir flinched but remained still. Its fur felt strange under Han's fingers, almost like silk but warmer, as if it generated its own heat. "Easy now," Han said softly. I'm just cleaning this. The alien's amber eyes never left Han's face. There was something in those eyes. Intelligence, fear, and something else Han couldn't name. Han finished cleaning the cut on the creature's side. It wasn't as bad as he first thought. Now came the hard part. The damaged metal leg. Han studied it carefully. The main joint was cracked, and blue fluid leaked from several tubes. As Han reached for his tools, the canner suddenly moved. Han jumped back, heart racing, but the alien wasn't attacking. It raised a paw to its collar. A small click sounded, and then a blue light blinked. Please, help. The voice came from a small device on the collar. It sounded rough and mechanical, but the words were clear. Han's mouth fell open. You can talk. Translator. Damaged but working, the voice said. I am Duri. Han set his wrench down slowly. I'm Hanta. The canner, Duri, tried to sit up but winced in pain. My leg. Need fix. I'm trying, Han said, but your technology is very advanced. Duri's ears flattened against her head. If not fixed, big problem. Han moved closer again. What happened to you? Why are you alone? Duri was quiet for a moment. Her translator made a static noise before she answered. Attack. Bad aliens attack our ships. I was guard. I escaped but damaged. Han frowned. The news reports had said nothing about attacks on Kinnear ships. But then, human governments didn't share everything they knew about alien activities. You're from the diplomatic group? Han asked. He remembered hearing about a Kinnear delegation visiting Earth. Duri's head bobbed in what seemed like a nod. Important mission. Must return. Han picked up a scanner he used for detailed engine work. I'm going to check your leg system. It might help me understand how to fix it. The scanner hummed as he moved it over the metal limb. Numbers and diagrams appeared on the small screen. Most of it made no sense to Han, but some parts he recognized. Power conduits, hydraulic systems, and what looked like nerve connectors. This is amazing, Han muttered. Your leg is connected to your actual nerves. Yes, Duri replied. Feel like real leg. Han set the scanner down and picked up his precision tools. I can try to repair the joint, but the fluid system is complicated. Must fix, Duri said, her voice more urgent. Without leg, cannot return. Cannot complete mission. Han took a deep breath. I'll do my best. For the next hour, Han worked carefully on the damaged leg. He sealed the leaking tubes and reinforced the cracked joint. His hands were steady. This wasn't so different from the delicate engine work he did every day. Except, of course, that this patient was alive and alien. As he worked, Duri watched him. Occasionally, her translator would make small talk. Humans, not like machines, she said at one point. Han smiled slightly. Most don't. I do. Why alone? Duri asked. No pack. Han's hands paused briefly. It's a long story. Accident. On big ship. Han looked up, surprised. How did you know? Duri's eyes seemed to soften. Smell fear when say people. Smell sadness when look at spaceport. Han turned back to his work, uncomfortable. Let's just focus on your leg. Outside, the storm had passed. Morning light began to filter through the workshop windows. Han made a final adjustment to the metal joint and stood back. Try it now, he said. Duri cautiously moved the leg. The joint bent smoothly. No fluid leaked. The blue lights along the limb glowed steadily. For the first time, Han saw what might have been a smile on the alien wolf's face. Good human, Duri said. Good Hanta. Han allowed himself a small smile. Now tell me why a Kinnear guard is so far from her delegation, and why it's so important that you get back. Duri tried to stand. Her metal leg held her weight, but she wobbled and sat back down. Still not right, Han said, frowning. The basic repair is working, but something else is wrong. Dury's translator crackled. Inner systems. Need special fixing. Han checked his scanner again. Deep inside the leg's complex mechanics, something was misfiring. The leg's brain, the small computer that controlled it, wasn't talking properly to Dury's nervous system. This is beyond my skills, Han admitted. He ran a hand through his messy hair. I fix engines, not alien technology. Dury's ears drooped. Then I fail. Mission fails. Han paced around his workshop. This wasn't just about a broken leg anymore. Whatever mission Dury was on seemed very important. Han glanced at the alien wolf. Her proud body looked tired and her eyes showed pain. Tell me how it works, Han finally said. I may not know your technology, but I understand systems. If you explain, maybe I can figure something out. For the next hour, Dury tried to explain through her limited translator how her leg connected to her body. Han made notes and drawings. The language barrier made it hard, but slowly a picture formed in Han's mind. It's like a bridge, Han said, showing Dury his drawing. Your brain sends signals across this bridge to move your leg. But the bridge is damaged here and here. He pointed to 2 spots on the drawing. Dury nodded. Yes, bridge broken. Han studied the problem. In human terms, it was like rewiring a complex circuit, but much harder because it connected to living tissue. I have an idea, Han said. He dug through a box of old parts and pulled out a small device. This is a signal booster I made for racing engines. It strengthens weak electrical signals. If I can adapt it to your leg. Han worked through the morning and into the afternoon. He carefully opened the casing of Dury's leg, revealing the glowing blue core that powered it. His hands moved with care, connecting thin wires and adjusting tiny components. As he worked, Dury told him more about her people. Her value, strength, honor, her translator said. I protect important leader. Jin Su is peaceful one. Wants friendship with humans. Not all Kinnear want peace. Han asked, not looking up from his delicate work. No, some think humans, too primitive. Want to control Earth, not be friends. Han's hands paused. And which side are you on? Dury made a soft sound that might have been a laugh. Was on control side. Until now. Until human helps without reason. Han continued working. I have my reasons, he said quietly. The ship accident? Dury asked. Han's face darkened. I was chief mechanic on the Stellar Hope. During a routine jump, an engine failed. 12 people died. His voice became tight. They said I missed something during inspection, said it was my fault. Was it? Dury asked simply. Han shook his head. I checked everything 3 times. Something wasn't right, but no one believed me. They needed someone to blame. Dury was quiet for a moment. Kinnear understand honor. To help enemy who might hurt you. Great honor. Han connected the final wire. You're not my enemy. You're just someone who needs help. He closed the leg casing. Now let's see if this works. Dury stood up carefully. This time, the leg moved smoothly. She took 1 step, then another. Her movement was still stiff, but stable. Better, she said, her amber eyes bright. Much better. Han smiled, feeling proud of his work. It's not perfect, but it should get you back to your people. Dury walked around the small workshop, testing the leg. With each step, her movements became more natural as the system adjusted. Han Ta has good hands. Good mind. Dury came to stand in front of him. Why humans not see this? Han shrugged. Sometimes it's easier to blame than to understand. A sudden loud noise came from outside. Dury's ears shot up, and she turned toward the door. What is it? Han asked, reaching for a wrench. Dury's body tensed. Hunters, she growled. They found me. Quick, hide, Han whispered, pointing to a storage room at the back of his workshop. Dury limped toward it, her repaired leg still not fully smooth in its movements. Han grabbed a dirty tarp and threw it over his workbench to hide the blue fluid and alien tools. Just in time, heavy footsteps approached the workshop door. Then came 3 loud knocks. Han took a deep breath and opened the door partway. 2 men stood outside. They wore plain black clothes, but Han could see the outline of weapons under their jackets. Their eyes were cold. "Can I help you?" Han asked, trying to sound normal. The taller man stepped forward. "We're looking for something that crashed near here last night. During the storm." Han shrugged. "Lots of things blow around in storms. Tree branches, trash. This would be unusual," the second man said. His accent wasn't from Earth. "A piece of alien technology, perhaps." "Haven't seen anything like that," Han said. "I mind my own business." The first man pushed the door wider and looked past Han into the workshop. His eyes scanned every corner. "Mind if we look around? We'll pay for your time." Han blocked the doorway. "Sorry, I'm busy with a client's engine. Privacy policy." The men exchanged glances. The second one spoke into a small device on his wrist. "Not here. Moving to next location." They both looked at Han one more time. "If you see anything strange, call this number." The man handed Han a plain black card. "The reward is very good." Han took the card and nodded. "I'll keep that in mind." The men walked away. Han watched until they disappeared around the corner. Then he quickly closed and locked the door. "They're gone," he called softly. Duri emerged from the storage room. Her fur was standing up along her back. "Not good," she said. "Not good hunters." "Who are they?" Han asked. "Work for enemies of peace. Want to stop Jin Su's mission." Duri's translator crackled with static. "If find me, kill me." Han looked out the window again. Those weren't regular bounty hunters. The second one wasn't human. Duri nodded. "Mask looks human. Inside, not human." Han felt a chill run down his spine. "You need to tell me the whole truth, Duri. Now." Duri sat on her haunches. Her amber eyes looked tired but clear. "Jin Su is High Commander. Most powerful Kanyur leader." The translator struggled with the complex explanation. "Jin Su wants peace treaty with humans. Other Kanyur leaders want to take Earth resources, force humans to serve. And you're Jin Su's bodyguard?" Han asked. "More than guard. I am." Duri seemed to search for the right word. "Connected to Jin Su. Special bond. If I die, Jin Su weakens." Han frowned. "Connected how?" "Kanyur leaders bond with chosen protectors. Mind link. Feel what other feels." Duri's ears flattened. "If hunters kill me, Jin Su loses power in council. War faction takes control." Han paced around the workshop. This was much bigger than he expected. He was just a mechanic, not a hero or a diplomat. "We need to get you back to your people," he finally said. Duri tilted her head. "Dangerous for you. Humans who help Kanyur, marked as traitors by some." Han laughed without humor. "I'm already an outcast. Can't fall much further." He began gathering supplies. Food, water, tools, and a small emergency medkit. He grabbed his old military backpack from under his bed. "The spaceport is 15 kilometers from here," Han said. "But there will be security checkpoints. We can't just walk up with you looking like, well, an alien wolf." Han looked around his workshop. His eyes landed on an old hover transport he'd been fixing. It wasn't pretty, but it had a covered cargo area. "That's our way out," he said, pointing to the transport. "I'll need a few hours to get it running." Duri walked to the window and looked out. "No time. Hunters will return with more help." Han grabbed his tools. "Then I'd better work fast." As Han began working on the transport, Duri used her snout to push aside a tarp in the corner. Underneath was a pile of old parts. She picked up a small metal cylinder in her mouth and brought it to Han. "What's this?" Han asked. taking the strange device. From my collar, Dury said. Emergency beacon. Help Jin Su find us. Han looked at the alien device, then at Dury. Are you sure about this? If this goes wrong, we could both end up dead. Dury's amber eyes held his gaze. Trust Han Ta. Han Ta fixed what no human should fix. Han Ta has special mind. Han took a deep breath and pressed the button on the beacon. A soft blue light began to pulse. Well, he said, no turning back now. Han wiped sweat from his forehead. The hover transport engine hummed to life after 3 hours of hard work. Not perfect, but good enough to travel. It's ready, he called to Dury. When no answer came, Han turned around. Dury lay on the floor, her breathing fast and shallow. The lights on her metal leg were flickering. Dury. Han rushed to her side. What's wrong? The alien wolf's eyes opened slowly. Energy. Failing. Her translator said weakly. Need. Special power. Han scanned her leg. The readings showed the power levels dropping quickly. What kind of power? Electricity? Fuel cells? Han asked urgently. Crystal. Energy. Dury managed to say. In collar. Han examined Dury's collar. A small compartment was built into one side. He pressed it open and found an empty slot where something should have been. There's nothing here, Han said. Dury's eyes closed. Lost in crash. Without it, systems fail. Han felt panic rising. After all his work to repair the leg, Dury was still dying. There must be something I can do. Only Canner. Technology, Dury whispered. Her body trembled. Need tell. Truth. Han leaned closer to hear her weak voice. Not just guard, Dury said. I am. Jin Su's heart. Connected souls. The translator struggled to find the right words. If I die, Jin Su dies too. Han sat back, shocked. You mean the High Commander will actually die if you do? Dury nodded weakly. Bond is lifelink, old Kinnear magic, and new technology. Now Han understood the true danger. If Dury died here, the leader of the peace faction would die too. The war between humans and Kinnear might become unstoppable. What does this crystal look like? Could we make something similar? Han asked, his mind racing through possibilities. Blue crystal, size of small finger. Dury's eyes were closing again. Special. Frequency. Han fought hard. He didn't have alien crystals, but he did have something that might work temporarily. He ran to a locked cabinet in the corner of his workshop. Inside was a small box he had kept hidden for years. This might buy us some time, Han said, returning with the box. He opened it carefully. Inside lay a small blue crystal, similar to what Dury had described. It glowed faintly. Where did you get that? Dury asked, her eyes wide. From the engine that failed on the Stellar Hope, Han said quietly. It wasn't supposed to be there. I found it embedded in the power core after the accident. It's what caused the failure, not my mistake. Han had kept it as proof of his innocence, though no one would listen to him. Now it might save Dury's life. This isn't Kinnear technology, Han explained. It's something else. I think it came from the region of space your ships were traveling through. It has strange energy properties. Han worked quickly to adapt the crystal to fit Dury's collar. He used his tools to shape a holding bracket and connected it to the power circuits. This is either going to help or make things worse, Han warned. Ready? Dury nodded weakly. Trust, Han taught. Han placed the crystal in the collar and closed the circuit. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crystal began to glow brighter. The lights on Dury's leg stabilized, then grew stronger. Dury's breathing steadied. Her eyes became clearer, and she slowly rose to her feet. It works, she said, sounding surprised. Different energy, but compatible. Han smiled with relief. It won't last forever. We still need to get you back to your people. Dury studied Han with new interest. Crystal from failed engine. Han Ta not at fault for accident. Her head tilted. Who put Crystal there? Han's face darkened. I don't know. But someone wanted that ship to fail. Same ones who want peace talks to fail, Dury said. Must be. They looked at each other, both understanding the connection for the first time. We need to reach Jin Su, Han said. Not just to save you, but to tell what we know. Dury nodded. Yes. Must hurry. Crystal bought time. But hunters still search. Han packed the last of their supplies into the hover transport. Then let's go while we can. As they prepared to leave, Dury pressed her head against Han's hand. Han Ta brave. Maybe save both our peoples. Han patted her head awkwardly. Let's focus on getting out of here alive first. The hover transport rumbled as it moved through the empty back streets. Han kept the speed low to avoid attention. Dury lay hidden under tarps in the cargo area. The first light of dawn colored the sky. Most people were still sleeping, which was good. Fewer eyes to notice them. We need to reach the diplomatic zone, Han said quietly. It's on the other side of the city. Dury's voice came from under the tarps. Many checkpoints, security cameras. Han nodded. I know some back ways, old service roads from before the new city was built. The hover transport turned onto a narrow dirt path that ran behind old warehouses. Han had discovered these forgotten routes years ago when delivering parts to the edge of the city. Why help me? Dury asked suddenly. Risk life for alien. Han was quiet for a moment. Because it's the right thing to do, he finally said. And because I know what it's like when no one believes you. They traveled in silence for a while. The city slowly woke up around them. More vehicles appeared on the main roads. Han checked his map. We need to cross the main highway soon. That's going to be tricky. As they approached the highway crossing, Han saw the checkpoint ahead. Guards checked every vehicle. Large scanners looked for hidden passengers. We can't go through there, Han whispered. They'll find you immediately. Han turned the transport around and parked behind an abandoned building. He studied his map again. There's an old tunnel under the highway, he said. It was used for water pipes. If it's still open, a noise made Han freeze. Dury's head poked out from the tarps, her ears alert. Drone, she said. Above. Han looked up. A small black drone hovered overhead. Its camera pointed directly at them. They found us, Han said. He jumped back into the driver's seat and started the engine. Hold on. The hover transport shot forward, kicking up dust. The drone followed, keeping pace easily. It's tracking us, Han said. We need to lose it before more hunters come. Han drove the transport into a narrow alley between tall buildings. The drone followed. Han looked around desperately for a way to escape. Then he had an idea. Dury, can you reach that pipe above us? Han asked, pointing to a water pipe that ran along the building. Dury looked up. Yes. Why? When I slow down, jump up and break it, Han instructed. Aim the water at the drone. Dury nodded, understanding the plan. Han slowed the transport just enough. Dury leaped from the cargo area, her powerful legs, both natural and mechanical, launching her into the air. Her strong jaws clamped around the pipe and tore it open. Water sprayed out with high pressure. The drone was hit by the water stream. It spun, sparked, and crashed to the ground. Dury landed back in the transport with a heavy thud. Han sped away before anyone could come to investigate. Good plan, Dury said, shaking water from her fur. Thanks, Han replied with a small smile. Now for the tunnel. The old tunnel entrance was hidden behind overgrown bushes. Han stopped the transport and checked that no one was watching. Then he quickly cleared away enough plants to drive through. Inside the tunnel, it was dark and damp. The transport's lights showed a narrow passage just wide enough for them to fit. Water dripped from the ceiling. We'll hold our weight, Dury asked nervously. We're about to find out, Han answered honestly. The transport moved slowly through the tunnel. Every bump and crack made Han worry the ceiling might collapse. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, they saw light ahead. They emerged on the other side of the highway, in an area filled with old factories. No checkpoints, no guards. Han let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. We made it through. Duri's eyes glowed in the dim light of the cargo area. Han tossed smart. Good problem solver. Han checked his map again. We're closer now. The diplomatic zone is about 5 kilometers that way. He pointed east, where tall, shiny buildings rose in the distance. Feel Jin Su, Duri said suddenly. Getting stronger. Knows we come. Han nodded. Good. We'll need all the help we can get. As they drove toward the diplomatic zone, Han noticed Duri watching him. What? He asked. Humans strange, she said. Some want war. Some risk everything for peace. Her translator made a sound like a sigh. Complicated species. Han laughed softly. Yes, we are. But worth saving, I think. Agree, Duri said simply. The transport continued toward the gleaming towers ahead. Neither of them knew what challenges still waited, but for the first time, Han felt hope. The diplomatic zone was now visible in the distance. Tall buildings with blue glass shone in the morning sun. So close, yet still so far. Something wrong, Duri said suddenly, her ears flat against her head. Feel danger. Han slowed the transport. Where? A loud boom answered his question. The ground shook as something hit the road ahead of them. Smoke rose from a new crater in the pavement. Energy weapon, Han shouted, turning the transport sharply to the right. 3 black vehicles appeared behind them. They were sleek and moved faster than any normal car. Han recognized the design from news reports about alien technology. Hunters found us, Duri growled. Han pushed the hover transport to its limits. The engine whined in protest as they sped through narrow streets between old buildings. We can't outrun them, Han said. These vehicles are too advanced. Another energy blast hit the ground near them, sending debris flying. The transport shook, but kept moving. Need weapons, Duri said. I'm a mechanic, not a soldier, Han replied. I don't have weapons. Han looked around desperately. They were in an industrial area with factories and warehouses. Then he saw a sign. Chemical storage. Danger. An idea formed in Han's mind. I have a plan, he said, but it's risky. Han drove the transport directly toward the chemical warehouse. Behind them, the black vehicles were gaining. What plan? Duri asked, her voice tense. Their vehicles use energy weapons and advanced computers, Han explained quickly. But advanced doesn't always mean better. Han crashed through the chain-link fence surrounding the warehouse. He parked the transport behind a large storage tank and jumped out. Stay here, he told Duri. I need 2 minutes. Han ran into the warehouse. Inside, shelves were filled with containers of various chemicals. Han had worked in places like this before his spaceship days. He knew what to look for. He grabbed several containers and a length of hose. Outside, he could hear the black vehicles approaching slowly, searching for them. Han worked quickly, mixing chemicals in a large plastic drum. He connected the hose to the top and ran it up to the roof of the warehouse. Then he attached a small motor from his tool bag to create pressure. Duri watched with confusion. What making? Something simple, Han said with a small smile. Sometimes old tricks work best against new technology. The hunters' vehicles surrounded the warehouse. Han could see them through cracks in the wall. Figures in black armor stepped out, holding advanced weapons. Now we need to get their attention, Han whispered. He grabbed a wrench and threw it through a window. The noise echoed through the quiet area. The hunters turned toward the sound. They approached carefully, weapons ready. Han pressed a button on his small motor. The mixture in the drum began to pump through the hose to the roof. When I say run, head for the transport, Han told Duri. The hunters were almost at the door. Han reached for his pocket lighter. Now, Han lit the end of the hose on the roof. A bright flame shot into the air, followed by thick, colorful smoke. The chemical mixture created a massive smoke screen that covered the entire area. The hunters fired their weapons blindly, but the smoke confused their targeting systems. Their advanced sensors, designed to detect energy signatures and heat, were overwhelmed by the chemical smoke. Han and Duri ran to the transport. The hunters couldn't see them through the thick cloud. Han started the engine and drove straight through the smoke. "They can't follow what they can't see," Han said with a grin. Behind them, the hunters were still firing at shadows. Their fancy weapons and technology were useless against simple chemistry. Duri looked at Han with new respect. Simple solution defeats advanced technology. Very human. Han nodded. "That's how we survive. We adapt. We use what we have." They were back on the road toward the diplomatic zone. The hunters would follow eventually, but now Han and Duri had a good lead. "Not far now," Han said, checking the distance. "Maybe 1 more kilometer." Duri's ears suddenly perked up. "Jin Su knows we close. Can feel call." Han smiled. They were going to make it. Then the transport's engine made a terrible noise and began to smoke. The damage from their escape was worse than Han thought. "No, not now," Han muttered, as the transport slowed and then stopped completely. They were still 1 kilometer from safety, and behind them, the hunters would soon be on their trail again. Han looked at Duri. "We'll have to continue on foot." Han and Duri moved quickly through the empty streets. The tall buildings of the diplomatic zone grew closer with each step. Duri's metal leg was working well, but Han could see the blue crystal's power was fading. The light pulsed weaker now. "How much farther?" Han asked, breathing hard. Duri's ears turned forward. "Close. Very close. Can feel Jin Su strongly now." They reached a high fence that marked the edge of the diplomatic zone. Warning signs in many languages covered the fence. Security cameras watched from tall poles. "Now what?" Han asked. "We can't just walk through the front gate." Duri looked up and down the fence line. "There." She pointed with her nose to a small service door. "Less guarded." They moved carefully toward the door. No guards were visible, but Han knew they were being watched. The security cameras turned to follow their movement. "They already see us," Han said. Duri nodded. "Yes, but Jin Su knows too. Is helping." As if to prove her words, the small door clicked and opened slightly. Han looked at Duri with surprise. "Jin Su has influence," Duri explained. They slipped through the door into the diplomatic zone. The area was beautiful, with green gardens and clean paths. It looked peaceful, but Han felt tension in the air. "Where now?" Han asked. "Canhir building." "There." Duri nodded toward a silver building with curved walls. It looked like flowing water frozen in metal. They had only taken a few steps when figures appeared ahead of them. 5 Canhir, larger than Duri, stood in a line. Their silver-blue fur shone in the sunlight. Each wore a collar with glowing symbols. Behind them stood a smaller Canhir. This one wore no collar but had markings of blue light running through his fur. "Jin Su," Duri said softly. She moved forward and bowed her head. The smaller Canhir approached. His eyes were deep gold, filled with wisdom and power. He touched his nose to Duri's head in greeting. Then he turned to Han. For a moment, Han felt afraid. This was the high commander of a species that could destroy Earth if they wished. "Hanta," Jin Su said. His voice was clear, with no need for a translator. "You have done what no other human could." Han bowed his head, unsure what to say. "You saved my heart bond when others would have killed her," Jin Su continued. "You risked your life for peace." "I just did what was right," Han said simply. Jin Su's eyes seemed to look into Han's soul. Few do what is right when it is difficult. Suddenly, shouts came from behind them. Han turned to see the hunters running toward them. They had gotten past the fence somehow. The Kinnear guards moved forward, but Jin Su stopped them with a small gesture. "Watch," he said. As the hunters approached, they hit an invisible wall. They fell backward, their weapons useless. They tried again and again to break through, but could not. "Barrier technology," Jin Su explained to Han. "They cannot reach us here." Han felt relief wash over him. They were safe. Duri was safe. Jin Su led them toward the silver building. Inside, it was cool and quiet. Han stared in wonder at the alien architecture and technology. In a large room, Jin Su turned to Han. "Now, I must know everything. About the crystal you found. About the ship accident." Han told the story from the beginning. How he found the strange crystal embedded in the engine after the accident. How he was blamed for the deaths. How he kept the crystal as proof of his innocence. Jin Su listened carefully. When Han finished, the Kinnear leader was quiet for a long moment. "The crystal is not from Earth," he finally said. "And not from Kinnear worlds." "Then where?" Han asked. "From those who want war between our peoples," Jin Su said. "They planted it in your ship to cause failure, to create mistrust." Han felt a cold anger. His life had been ruined as part of an alien plot. "Sane ones who attacked Duri," Jin Su continued. "Sane ones who work with corrupt humans and Kinnear." Jin Su moved to a large screen on the wall. Images appeared showing both human and Kinnear working with the strange hunters. "War would profit some," Jin Su said, "but destroy most." Han looked at the images with shock. He recognized one of the humans, a high government official who had led the investigation into the Stellar Hope accident. "You were a target, Han-Ta," Jin Su said, "because you were good, too careful to miss real problems. They needed accident to happen, needed someone to blame." Han's mind raced with this new information. His disgrace, his isolated life, all part of a plan to push humans and Kinnear toward war. Jin Su placed a paw on Han's shoulder. "But now, you helped change everything." 1 month had passed since Han and Duri reached the diplomatic zone. Much had changed in that short time. Han stood by a large window in the new Human Kinnear Technology Center. The building had been built in record time on the edge of Seoul. From his window, Han could see both the city and the spaceport. "Still watching the ships?" asked a familiar voice. Han turned to see Duri enter the room. Her metal leg now shone with new parts and smooth movement. The makeshift repair Han had done was replaced with advanced technology, but she had insisted they keep Han's original work as part of the design. "Old habits," Han replied with a smile. "I still can't believe how much has changed." And changed it had. After Jin Su revealed the plot to cause war between humans and Kinnear, both governments had acted quickly. The corrupt officials were removed. The mysterious third species that had planted the crystal was identified and diplomatic measures were taken against them. Most importantly for Han, his name was cleared. The truth about the Stellar Hope accident was made public. He was no longer the disgraced mechanic who cost 12 lives. He was now recognized as someone who had been wrongfully blamed. "Meeting starts soon," Duri reminded him. Jin Su waiting. Han nodded and followed Duri to the large meeting room. Inside, human and Kinnear engineers sat together around tables covered with plans and models. Jin Su stood at the head of the main table. "Han-Ta," Jin Su greeted him. "We ready to begin." Han took his place beside Jin Su. As the first human Kinnear liaison engineer, Han had a new purpose. His job was to help the two species share technology and ideas, to find ways for human creativity and Kinnear advanced science to work together. "Today we test new engine design," Jin Su announced to the room, based on Han-Ta's ideas. The engineers turned their attention to a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed an engine unlike any built before. It combined Kinnear power systems with human mechanical designs. Han-Ta showed us something important. Jin Su continued. "Human solutions often simple, but effective. Kinnear technology advanced, but sometimes too complex. Han looked at the design with pride. After his experience fixing Dury's leg with limited tools, he had suggested ways that Kinnear technology could be made more adaptable and repairable. The Kinnear had never considered this because their advanced tools did everything for them. "Let's begin the test," Han said. The team moved to a protected viewing area. Through thick glass, they could see the prototype engine in a test chamber. Engineers at control panels started the powered-up sequence. The engine hummed to life. Energy readings climbed steadily on the monitors. Everything was working perfectly. "Look at efficiency levels," one Kinnear engineer said with amazement. "Higher than our standard designs. And it can be repaired with basic tools if needed," added a human engineer. The test continued, proving the new design worked. It was the first of many technologies that would come from this new partnership. Later, Han and Dury walked outside the center. The evening air was cool and pleasant. "Did you ever think this would happen?" Han asked. "When you crashed near my workshop that night?" Dury shook her head. "Never imagined. Thought mission failed." "Instead, it succeeded better than anyone planned," Han said. They looked up at the stars together. Somewhere out there, other species were watching to see what humans and Kinnear would do next. The war-mongering third species had retreated for now, but Han knew they wouldn't give up easily. "More humans coming to work with Kinnear next month," Dury said. "You helped select them." Han nodded. "Yes, I didn't choose the ones with the best grades or most experience. I chose the ones who think differently, who solve problems in unusual ways." Dury made a sound that Han now recognized as Kinnear laughter. "Human thinking. Always surprise us." A ship rose from the spaceport, its lights bright against the darkening sky. It was a new model, the first ship built with joint human-Kinnear technology. Han watched it climb higher and higher until it was just another star in the night. "Jin Su says you are heart of this project," Dury said. "Like I am his heart." Han felt a strange warmth at those words. From outcast to hero, from lonely mechanic to bridge between species. "All because I helped an injured wolf in a storm," Han said quietly. Dury pressed her head against Han's hand, a gesture of affection she had learned from humans. Small choices make big changes. Together, they walked back into the building where human and Kinnear worked side by side, creating a future neither species could have built alone. Behind them, more ships rose to the stars. Ahead of them, endless possibilities waited.